Okay, so just like you do a physical skills workout, technical skills, you do tactical skills. Today we're going to do mental skills. So we're going to be really, really practical. And it's a workout for the mind. The idea is to sort of work out the mind and be able to be at the best we can be mentally. So it's pretty much the first workout of the week for you guys. You're going to back up anyway after this session doing the work you do with the coaches. So we want to start on the front foot. We want to focus on getting the basics right. You don't need me to tell you. I know you watch games and you see teams, variable performances. One team could do well one game. A week in football is a long time. A day in football is a long time, but a week in football is a long time. You win one week, good performance, then the next week is key. It's great, you celebrate the victories, fantastic, you have a great game, but then you've got to refocus straight away. And the same if you lose. You get on a losing run, you've got to be able to sort of break that pattern and move forward, which is not always easy to do, by the way. So what I want to start with tonight is to get you guys to think of your strengths. So once again, we're going to think, okay, well, we do, and I've seen a lot of people analyze negative performances, and it's every right to do so because you've got to put things right. But equally, I think it's really important to focus on what we do really, really well. So I want to focus for a moment on 3 strengths that you've got, three areas. It could be your left foot, it could be dribbling skill, it could be pace. So you want to build on what you've already got. You want to set a really strong foundation. It's all about doing the basics right in football. You do the basics right, then you can build on that. You've got to get the basics right. You've got to build a firm foundation, and the mental skills do that. When you sort of think about the strengths you've got, what you need to do after that, we're going to focus on today anyway, is we're going to look at an area that you want to improve. So the goal for this week, I want you to set a goal for this week on improving an area of your game. Now, if you can improve one area of your game every week, you look back in a year and you'll see how far you've come along. And you see other players, they stand still. Football is all about moving forward. You've got to keep moving forward. You've got to keep evolving, because I mentioned last week, no one's going to say, here you go, take my shirt. It's just not going to happen, especially when you're professionally. You've got to fight for the shirt. You've got to get in there. And equally now, you guys obviously play at a good level too. People want your shirt. Now, you're going to let someone walk in the dressing room and say, you know what, take my number 10, fine. You're not going to do that. You're going to dig in, you're going to fight. And that's what's going to happen when you sort of play and you move up. And then it's one thing getting the shirt, but then keeping it there. And that's the sort of key. That's why we do this sort of work. It's the mental side of the game is imperative that you sort of keep working. Really, really important that you keep working. So the first thing to do, an area you want to improve, and when you focus on the area that you want to improve, what we need to do is like a laser beam. What skill, or maybe it might be confidence, or it might be focus, okay? Be very clear on what you want to improve, okay? Really, really clear. Now, you can write that down, you can think about it, doesn't really matter. Make a mental note and go back over it. Then the key thing is really you sort of, take a deep breath and you focus, or you close your eyes, whatever works for you. And as you sort of close your eyes, and you come to closing your eyes, you can reflect back on your strengths. Reflect on the time you felt calm before a game. Just take your attention off the skill you want to improve. And we want to go into a learning state. We want to go into the state that you learn really well. Now, there'll be a time in your life where, every player couldn't do certain things, but they can now. So things might seem difficult now to improve, but there's a point where you couldn't do the things you can do now. And sort of being able to access that. It's not just about practice, it's about doing the right practice. That's the key. Okay? Then when you do that, you're going to focus like a laser beam. Whether it's a free kick, whether it's a penalty, whether it's a dribbling skill or defending. So you're going to think of a new way. If you can kick right foot, left foot, Okay, if you can kick left foot, right foot, we want you to be and work on both feet. We want you to be a complete player. So a new way of seeing it. How will it feel to learn the skill? And what will you do different? Okay, are you that sort of player when a free kick presents itself and it's, for example, you're winning 5-0, there's no pressure and you run to the ball, you want to take the free kick because you're on a hat-trick, or you're the sort of player that when you're losing 1-0 and there's a minute to go, are you willing to pick the ball up and take the free kick then? There's a big difference. I said a few weeks ago, there are certain players that, and you'll know plenty of them, and you'll know players like that where, okay, when things are going well, brilliant, they're there, conditions are right, okay, but when things are tough, and they will be in the game, where are they? And that's what will give you the shirt, if you're willing to dig in and roll the sleeves up. Not the first sign of something going wrong and you sort of think, you know what, I don't know if I can do it. That's the moment. I've seen plenty of those players before, and I've spoken to plenty of managers over the years when they speak to me. Why do you think this player, Jim, psychologically, it's your area of expertise, you do that, done it for years, and I will tell like it is. I'm not a yes person, or I'm going to call it a yes man or whatever. I will tell the manager. Sometimes I don't like what they hear, but I'm not going to tell them what they want to hear. I'll tell them what they need to hear. And if they don't like it, because the player's good. In fact, a manager once said to me, his son was playing for our team many years ago in the youth setup. He was in the youth and looking for a professional contract. He goes, what do you think? Because I was in the youth of my son. I said, truth be told, these are the areas he's not going to make it as a pro, at the moment. I'm not saying he can't do, but he's going to work a lot harder. And he's like looked at me really funny. He said, wow, I said, listen, I'll tell like it is, man. It's the way it is. Okay, that's what he needs to do. And I'll show you exactly where he needs to improve. That's the key. So new actions. Once you've done that, I said before, we're going to do this again today. You rehearse it mentally, because at your age, there's only so much time at any age really you can do physical practice. But what you can do is being able to rehearse yourself mentally. And we're going to take you through that again today. Visualize yourself doing it, because we know the mind can't tell the difference between, not a great deal of difference between something you do physically and do mentally. So you rehearse yourself, you watch, once again, now take a moment now to think about a certain competitor. Now, if there's a competitor out there, guys, that has got the better of you before, now's the time to think, how will I play against this person? What will I do? What will I do against this player in the future next time? Maybe the player's got pace and you struggle with that and you need to drop off a bit defending him. Or maybe you're playing against a defender and they got pace and you're struggling. Well, maybe I'll do something different. What will I do? What movement? You've got to think forward, think positive. That's the sort of key to it. There are certain performers in the world, obviously you hold your hands up. They are just, brilliant. You see the tennis, if you're into the tennis, you've got whatever people say, I know it's maybe controversial, but I'm talking from a tennis point of view. It doesn't like Djokovic, okay? And you watch him and you think, wow, when he's at his best, what do you do? Well, what can you do? You only play your best. I don't know the guy, I only know watching on sort of TV, but you watch and you think, okay. But even so, I was thinking about this today, actually, and I thought about this before, for a player to sort of, and I said before, I'm talking about the game now, whatever people think, outside the game, he just seems always focused to me from what I've seen, but I can't speak because I don't know him. But I'm going to speak for people I've worked in football and other athletes. They're able to focus on the task in hand. They're not phased, which is key. So what I'm saying, guys, if you come up against a player on the day that's just, world class and they get the better of you, then fair enough. It happens. You go away, you improve, you do the best you can. But if you come up against a player that's equal to you or not as good as you and they get the better of you, then it's not good. you know, and I hear excuses all the time. When I see managers give excuses on TV, they're doing it a lot of time because they don't want to lose the dressing room. But you know the truth. You know, at the end of the day, you don't need anyone to tell you. You know, and then your positive affirmation. Positive affirmation is okay. I will do, and I'm going to practice this. I'm gonna improve. I am improving my left foot. I am going to play at the level I want to play. You ingrain that in your mind. Okay, you really ingrain that in your mind. I'm going to perform to the best of my ability. So what I tell my players a lot of the time, I've done for years, is for these affirmations, that you affirm that every game I'll play with maximum application and effort. And the reason I do that is because they're controllable variables. You can turn up, okay, and play to the best of your ability every game. That's not saying things don't go on off the field. People have problems off the field, things go on, and all that sort of stuff. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is how you react to things that are going on. So every game, and I tell the teams, every game for 90 minutes, you can put all, you know, to one side and focus on the task in hand, which is key. And then what you do is, from now on, when I encounter this player, I will maybe drop off. I will, as a striker, make a run to the back post. Okay, I will focus on the ball if this player is running. So that gets into your head. If you say it verbally, it internalizes itself. Okay, there's a player I worked with one time. I said to him, you will get an extra 5 goals a year if you make a late run to the back post. And those 5 goals will make a huge difference on your value as a player, just by drifting in, okay? But it takes energy to do that. It takes energy to do that because, and the reason why it takes energy, at least for him, is that by doing that, it might have left him open, because if the sort of, you know, keeper gets to the ball, then the man he sort of had to sort of block the channel, gets a run on him. So he's got to use the energy to track back. So, okay, you make the run, you take the chance, the gamble, the keeper catches it, your man there, then you run back, you got to work hard. So I said before, and I said it before to players, that it's about being creative, but also the energy. There's no substitute for hard work. That's the sort of key to it, to be able to sort of work. And these are little things. Only the little things you can do, to make a huge difference. So now we're going to do, you know, that's sort of talking through the intervention. I can see the temple. Now we're going to do another technique shortly. Okay, so I'm sort of going to stop share this one. Okay, so now we rehearse. It's a great opportunity. It's a fresh day, you know, it's a new start, irrespective of what happened last game or last performance, last week in training. Now is Monday for you guys, Sunday obviously here. Now you start to think, but really you should think on Sunday as well, evening, these sort of things, and then hit the ground running on Monday. But the key is now, what you're thinking is, okay, rehearsal now, mentally rehearse. And now you really want to hit the ground running going forward. This training session that you do now, after you've worked with me, will be the most important training session of the week, the most important training session of your life, because it's in the now. You can't do tomorrow's session, last week's gone, it's now. Now you have to bridge the gap. I want to play here, I'm here, okay? I want to play professional at this level, and this is where I am. I need to do this to improve to get there. Because I mentioned earlier, no one's going to say, well, here you go. Here's the sort of contract, not a problem. No, you've got to work. And I'm not saying that it's just about professional. I'm not saying it's just about football. This goes for many things in life too, by the way. No one's going to just say, well, here you go. You know, if it's business or academic or whatever as well. So we're going to start by focusing on what you want to improve, the free kick, the goal, or the penalty, the defending. And once again, if it's comfortable to do so, you can close your eyes. If it's easy to do so, that blocks out the outside world. And you'll see the players are what within the dressing room. they close their eyes, and they focus. No one bothers them until obviously the manager gives the instruction, but they need time to focus in the warm-up. If I see my players during the warm-up talking about what they watched on TV last week, what they did, whatever, then you know, I see it as a sign of nerves, so I don't come down on them. They're trying to distract themselves, but I will go and address it. Because, you know, watching reality TV, there's a time for it after the game and, you know, whatever, and you socialize. I'm saying always being tense, but the warm-up is what a lot of games are won and lost. You see in the warm-up, you can just see, and this is what you should be doing in the warm-up, guys. And you can even focus on the game. What do I want to do? Okay, I was watching a game today. I'm not going to say what game it was because I don't want to dig people out, but there were players on the field looking at the manager. What should I be doing? With their arms up. When I see players put their arms up like this, at any level, let alone the highest level, looking at the manager, then I start to get concerned. You know, what is going on? Okay, you need to be really clear. In a game situation, man, and if you've got to turn out to the manager, what do I need to do now? You're on the back foot. And the higher level you go, guys, there is no mercy. You just get drilled. So you've got to know before you go on the field. And if you're not clear, don't be shy to say to the manager, what should I do? If the manager doesn't know what you should do, then you have an issue. Then you've got to take responsibility in your own hands. Okay, I'll do it. That's it. But you've got to be focused. So you focus on what you want to improve, we talked about earlier, and you see yourself doing it on a screen, like watching a TV screen, or maybe you see a player doing what you want to do. And who does it well. And then you imagine doing it over and over again. Then when you've got it exactly how you want it, you step in the screen and think of 3 scenarios. Okay, 3 scenarios when you will do that and execute that skill. Be a penalty, or as many scenarios you want, but 3 is a ballpark figure. Defending, the player comes at you, so you see yourself, you imagine the here and now. How will I defend? Okay, against that player who's got pace. Okay, what will we do? What will I do when I take the penalty? Okay, what will I do? You know, and in sport, funny things happen in sport. I remember one time in training, I took a couple of clips of one of our players taking the penalty deliberately. I probably shouldn't give away some of the secrets. Deliberately did that, just knowing that the game could have gone into penalties that we played, to let the keeper think that's the way he's going to go, you know, and it sort of, I think it had an impact. So these little things happen, these mind games happen like that. It's just the way it is. But people know that that's my job anyway, to do. And the mental side of the game is my department for the most part. So I'm saying, I'm not saying you should do that, but these are little things. If you're a keeper, then you want to watch the penalty taker. Okay, you want to watch if you're a keeper. If you're a keeper, guys, if you are a keeper, you want to watch every person take a penalty on the list of fixtures. That's what I would do. If I'm working with a keeper, okay, if I'm working with a keeper, what I would do is I'd say, go watch every player that you're going to play against who takes a penalty, and see what they do. Because generally skill is the way it is. The best person I've seen training, the best keeper, by the way, I've seen training, by the way, and I'm not going to, I don't put players, you know, success, down to me, nothing to do with me at all. But the best person I've ever seen as a trained well was Kasper Schmeichel. When I was at Bury, and Kasper got loaned from City to Bury, and he ended up playing for our first team in the end. And we needed a keeper. We sold our keeper, I think, or one of them got injured anyway. And I used to watch him train with our keeper coach. And I used to watch him train with the keeper coach. I'd say to the keeper coach, you know, just throw my sort of input in there, as you do. But the professionalism, now it helps, obviously his dad was one of the greatest keepers of all time, But equally in saying that, and I'm not going to say it helps. That's not going to say it helps in that way. I don't want to undermine. It would have made it anyway and got to level. What I'm saying, obviously, Dad's best keeper in the world. It's not going to do no harm. But even now, if you see him, I watch him sometimes. Leicester, you see just the professionalism in him and the will to win, and that desire to win. And what I'm saying, I'm getting at is you want to be professional, guys, and do this before the game. Be professional before the game, and sort of watch yourself playing the game. Sometimes it's true. You play against teams and you might feel a bit nervous as a player who's got the better of you before, and that's okay. You just got to think of a different way. Some players are hard to play against. They're very skillful. They're very talented. They're not easy to play against. I said earlier before, there are some days you just hold your hands up. You know what? Fair enough. But it's your job to figure out a way to do what you need to do. So something I've got skill with them now. So think of this session like a gym session where we've got to, when I sort of speak, it's just giving you some time to process it rather than leave you and then in between you do the skills. So it's like doing, say, 5 reps of 5 bench press and then you rest, and 5 to bench press and you rest. This is a mental skills session. And this is the way I'm going to do things now, because I've seen the theory before, and we'll touch on theory if you don't need to know anything for sure. So then move on to the next process. Okay, so what we're going to do now is to get into the right state. Okay, so now we're going to focus on getting in the right state of mind. And what I want to do now is sort of to think about your best performances again and how you felt. So we want to go into the training session feeling really confident. So what I do with my performers is think about the state they need to be in before training and moving forward. And this exercise here, we'll focus on confidence, but you can, whatever you want, it could be calm, focus. So the first step is decide what state, what emotional state you want to be in, okay? And this you can do even during a game, at different points during the game, because you'll know that there are moments in the game that have a big impact on what we do. So you could play really well, and obviously when you play really well, you could find yourself 1-0 down. How do you react to that? See, you could be 1-0 down, you could play really well, and they score against the run of play, and you forget how well you've played. You start to panic then, think, oh no, it's not going to be my day. You got to get that out of your head. Top teams and top players don't think like that. Top teams and top players you'll see score in the 95th minute. Well, you got to think, we've been playing well before that. If we keep doing the right things, we'll get the result. And there are some days you have 20 shots on target, one go in. Fair enough, it happens, but it doesn't happen very often. So when I see managers make excuses, I think, okay, well, fair enough. It shouldn't have been a penalty, you shouldn't have done this. But the reality is, over the course of the season, the table doesn't lie. That's all there is to it. And the irony is not the best players win matches. It's not the way it is. So the first step is inside the feeling. So it could be confidence. And then you think of times that you have been confident, okay, in a game situation. And when you think of times of being confident, just really, you can close your eyes if you choose. It's entirely up to you. And just let that confidence spread every cell of your body, like a beam of light coming through the room. And the confidence is like bathing in confidence, really letting it build, okay? And really focus on, you hold on to that about 30 seconds. Now let the confidence really magnify, okay? And really magnify. If you want to, you can anchor it like, wristband or whatever we talked about earlier, but it's okay, you don't need to. And what we're doing by doing that is building a neural pathway if it's not there, or an existing one, making it stronger. Okay, so you become unshakable. that's what we need to do. And not just unshakable in football, also in life. Okay, I've talked to Tony and he knows my philosophy. It's not just about football, it's about life as well, about school, about college, about business, about life. That's the way it is. People in this world, it's not always easy. It's just being strong mentally. I'm not saying that obviously we don't have times in our life we feel and we need to talk to people, and absolutely, I'm all for that. But equally in saying, I think it's really important that we build that. So when we focus on time to be really, really confident and really feel it and ingrain that in your mind. And imagine when you're completely pumped up, but you're focused, how you'll handle the game. So you get a call up for a trial somewhere, and you're a bit nervous in the beginning and you're not quite sure about the level, and your chance, here you go, you're ready to play. The key is you're pumped up, but not obviously overhyped up. You need to be very clear about what you're doing, really, really clear about what you're doing, but just enough, like a dial. It's okay, I've got this. You might one day, be faced with a situation where you get a run somewhere and you see a player you've seen, like on TV, for example, you think I'm a bit overawed here. I've said before, you can admire people, but not be in awe of anyone, because the things you can do, they can't do, and they would have been where you are at some point anyway. It's step up, not an arrogant way, in a confident way. Or equally in saying that, it could be you're in a situation where, week to week, it could be something says something to you. People say things, this person can't make, or this person whatever. And the key thing is obviously what you do then is how you bounce from that. And you'll know, because you play at a good level now, the higher the level you go, the more people see what you do. It doesn't matter if you play like, on a Sunday league in the park somewhere, no one's really too bothered, you're not on the radar. But once you get on that radar, okay, all of a sudden, people start to talk, and how you handle that. That's the sort of key to it. And people don't always say nice things. It's just the way it is. And most of the people who don't say nice things are the ones who haven't made it themselves, and they want to try and pull you down because they can't do it. They think, well, I'll sort of, it's easy for me. It's easy for me just to say this person's, not any good because, because obviously it makes them feel better about themselves. But that doesn't matter. Now, this is why it's important. So you practice that every day. Think of times you felt really confident. And it's not just for football, for life as well, for school. It don't matter if the teacher says, I don't think you can do this. If the college tutor says this, or if this person says this, you go back to your sort of confident zone. Okay, and think of times that you've sort of been really confident and get yourself pumped up, ready for action, but not too over the top. So you're going out there and you're sort of running around everywhere. But what you need is really, really focused. Okay, you have a plan, the player coming at you. How do I handle this player? What do I do? And you see even at the highest level, guys, even at the highest level, you see, goals scored off corners and cheap goals. You've got to get that out of your system. You've got to make sure you don't give away cheap goals if you're defending in the box. And you've got to be the one that takes advantage of people losing concentration. The only reason people generally score off corners and things like that is because someone loses concentration for the most part, unless you've got someone who can sort of jump or movement or whatever. But for the most part, these athletes are pretty matched, It's the one who sort of focuses and concentrates. And that's the key. Not just in the game, when there's a break in play. Okay, that's when you can just have a breather and switch back on again. Get into your shape and sort of go forward. So that's really important. Before we sort of break today and wrap up, and in a few weeks we're going to do more and more practical stuff. I want to sort of focus again, the last 5 minutes now, and sort of remind us of your goal, okay, where you want to be, where you're aiming for, because you train hard. You guys, you put it in. You know, you're up. There's people sleeping now. You're up. You're training. You're out there. The people who are sleeping now aren't going to improve in this duration. Okay? So this is your chance to start focusing, to get the head start. People who want to wake up and, swan around and that's the sort of key to sport. It's sort of, these sort of victories off the field. Your next game is going to be won during the training sessions you do this week. That's where you're going to lose the game. Same as professional football. You make professional football, a lot of the ground you make is on the training sessions that you do. So remind yourself what your goal is and imagine what it will feel to achieve your goal. Okay, because you share your goal, sometimes people say, well, you can't do this, whatever. This place here, we want to aim to be the best you can be. That's what we want, for you to be the best you can be. And if you've achieved that, you're a winner. That's the important thing. So remind yourself what your goal is. Imagine having the goal, what it feels like to have the goal, irrespective of what level you want to play or where you see yourself playing. And, dare to dream. The old saying, aim for the stars and you hit the moon. People sometimes are afraid to aim big, because if they think they aim big, they don't achieve it. Then what now? I've aimed big, I don't achieve it. Then what now? I'm a failure. You're not a failure, you learn. Okay? Some people play it safe. And it's easy to play it safe. Plenty of people play it safe. They don't want to. And that's where you learn, guys. When you don't achieve what you set out to achieve, you learn in life that things won't always go your way. I'm afraid, it's just the way it is. It just won't always go your way. So what's it feel like to have the goal? Feel having the goal, and just think back to the steps you need to take to get there. Okay? Think, if you're sitting in the room and you've achieved your goal, you're playing where you want to play, take a moment to think of the steps you took from the point you were training from the beginning. You're working backwards. What did I do? If it doesn't come to mind straight away, it's okay. You take some time to do that. But it's really worth every day to spend at least 5 minutes to feel having the goal. What's it like having the goal? It's like when I interviewed a world champion the other week on radio, and she talked about how as early as 9, she imagined what it felt like to be the world champion. And you can hear the ratings as I do some of the world champions. They all say they imagine what it's like to feel having it. I'm not saying just by imagining having, what it feels to have it, you're going to get there. But it's one, step, one important part of the process, which is key. So you think, what's it like to feel? How will I act and be when I have the goal? It's a big thing. What steps do I take? Obviously, as we draw to a close, the first step to having the goal and achieving the goal for this point of view is this session. That's the first step to achieving the goal. So take a moment now to once again think about what you need to improve this week to move you towards where you want to go. Okay, what you need to improve. Do I need to get my pace quicker? Do I need an extra half a yard? Do I need to build my stamina, my VO2 max? Do I need to practice my left foot, right foot, my heading, control, and then go all out and practice it alongside the training you do? Your movement as well. Think about what movement during the game, tactically, and start the week on the front foot. That's the sort of key to it. I mentioned earlier before, there are people at this point, they might be sleeping, but there are people also who train. And I see during training, they go through the motions. And that's as good as sleeping, because if you're training and just going through the motions, in the end, You're waiting for things to happen. You've got to make it happen. No one's going to do it for you. Okay, you need to make it happen. The structure's there for you in life. The opportunities are there, but the reality is only you can sort of do the sessions. And what you put in, you get out. A lot of people make excuses in this world. I'm not saying that people aren't done to, bad things happen, things don't go away, but some people make a lot of excuses. They want to get out of that mindset and have that winning mindset to be responsible and accountable for your own actions. So on that note, it's been a great session, guys. Next week we've got interactive again. So think of it as doing exercises for the brain. So next week we're going to go again. The recording's there, you can go back over it. As always, email me on your questions, comments, otherwise, if I can help in any way, I'm always happy to do so, guys. Have a fantastic week, and we go again next week. Thanks, guys.